Boker Tov, gentlemen. Continuing Halachot Shabbat, Maaseh Shabbat, Perek Rishon, the laws of Bishul. We discussed and we introduced Iruy. We said pouring from a Kli Rishon, and also putting something Davar Yavesh onto a Davar Yavesh. Today it's Iruy Davar Nozli al Gabet Davar Nozli. Pouring something liquid onto something that is liquid. Okay? The halacha says, Mutar la'arot davar nozli cham al gabe davar nozli kar. You're allowed to pour a liquid that's very hot onto a cold liquid. Ukegon latzuk maim chamim merubim mikli rishon al gabe maim tzonanim mu'atim. Like pouring a lot of water from the urn, from a keli rishon, onto a little bit of cold water that's already in the cup. Deho'il ve'amayim Hachamim mitarevim mamash batzanonim ein lahem koach levashel. Because the water immediately mixes up with the cold water that's mixing with, they don't have the strength to cook. Adiraba kol shenoflin hen mitzanenin. There's a concept in halacha that tata gavar. This comes up in Your De'ah in Halachot Haravot, and it's very important in this seif. The halacha explains that the bottom supersedes. This heat is always in the bottom when it comes to two different mixtures. So if I'm pouring into something, the bottom wins. Okay? Very, very good.
That's why we said we can't pour a little bit of cold water.
Correct. I mean, that's different because if it's a klishani, no mevashel. Kli Rishon into cold is mutar.
You could put cold water on top.
Yeah, for sure. Into klishani is no problem whatsoever. The
problem
problem is, let's say you have a pot on the urn. That's the real question. I have a pot on the urn. Can I pour water? Asur. That's Bishul. Sorry, a pot on the plata. That's the choresh. Can I pour cold water into it? Like that, the bottom is Kli Rishon, the top is not. It's going to be Bishul. That's a problem. Okay? So he explains very quickly. Shulchan Aruch Siman Shin Yud Chet Seif Yud Bet Katav Umutar Latzuk Maim Chamin Latoch Tzonen. Maran is posek, you're allowed to pour hot water into cold. And in the Beit Yosef he writes, Dehainu afilu chamin mikli rishon. Even water from a kli rishon. Mistimat advarim mashma. Degam she'atzonanim al mata mu'atim. Mutar litzok latocho chamin merubin. And he says from its ambiguity, from the fact that Maran left out any more information, you can assume that the bottom cup is, even when there's a little bit of water in the bottom, what's the concern? That when there's a lot of water, it's a little bit of cold, that even though the amount of heat from the Kli Rishon will overpower the Kli Shani and cook it. The author here is saying that the halacha, we are lenient. And then he says, "V'chen katuv, v'chen adin, v'chen pasak ben Ishchai, parashat bo ot yud aleph." Oh, very good. He brings the reason. What's the reason? Ufta'amad de milta. Why is this mutar? Katuv tosot psachim. The Tosfot Psachim says, "De'af shekaymalan de'iruy b'v'zokadei kelipa." Even though we've established already that pouring cooks the Iruy b'vashal kedei kelipa, cooks the outer layer. Mikol makom ho'il v'atzonen shel mata hu davar hamitarev. Because the liquid, the cold on the bottom, is something that can mix up. En hakedi en akdei klipa yachol litbashel mechamat zinunut hamayim. The kedei klipa amount can't get cooked because of the coldness of the water. Because in essence, there's no more kedei klipa. It mixes immediately, so there's no more outer layer. Okay? And they explain, in a liquid, the kedei kelipa measure, the outer layer, isn't independent. There's no, for example, I have an apple, I have a chicken, I have a piece of meat, I have whatever, a grape. The kedei kelipa is clear. It's the outer layer. With liquids, there's no kedei kelipa. it's basic science. You pour water into it, it all mixes
Also,
together.
we're saying before, if it's one like continuous flow of the water, then can you say like, it's one thing of its own? Instead of pouring, it's one flow of the
So
water.
we explained that. We explained it yesterday, but what are you trying to refer to? What do you mean by one
Saying
flow?
before we're gonna say it's one continuous flow, then we have to say it's one object in of itself. Like there's no big pile of water, it's water liquid there.
Oh, you're trying to base it from that? I don't think they use that as a proof, but yeah. They don't use that as a proof, but yeah. In theory, it does make sense. Okay? So that was the opinion of the Ritz of the Tosfot. Now they give another reason why the Rashba and the Ran כתבו טעם אחר, דאף למאן דאמר אילה אגבר דעירוי במשקדת בכולו, מותר להראות חמין לתוך צוננים, משום דאין עירוי במשקדת אלא כשום מכה בקילוחו, כגון על גבי תבלין ושאר דברים מוצקים. אבל דבר נוזלי ומתערב, אין הקהה חזקה דייה ואין בכוחה לבשל. It's a similar idea that with its stream into liquid, it doesn't have enough strength to cook the bottom. Very good. Let's continue. A few more halachot for today, we'll be done. Kos או צלחת שהודחו ונשארו בהם טיפות מים שלא נגבו, מותר להראות עליהם מים חמים מכלי ראשון. Very applicable question. A cup or a plate that was washed and there's a little bit of droplets of water left. I'm allowed to pour hot water onto them from water in a kli rishon, and there's no concern of pouring, of cooking those droplets. What's the most common halacha?
The cliche.
Exactly, like you're both, yeah, the cliche you're gonna use. I have an urn, and I leave a cup next to the urn always to be the cliche. And I pour from that cliche into my cliche to drink my tea. Good? That cup often doesn't, when it's gonna have droplets. Does that mean I have to dry the cup well before I pour hot water into it next time? According to Ravad Yosef, mutar. You don't have to be concerned. We spoke about earlier, there are enough leniencies that we don't need to be worried in this scenario. Yeah?
Let's say use the red cup for cliche.
Yeah?
Then you get a blue cup, make that into cliche and drink from the red cup.
Yeah. If you want to be choshesh to all the shitot. But Ravaya says you don't need to. עיין שו"ת יביא אומר חלק ד' סימן ל"ג שגם כן העלה להתיר בדין זה אלא שכתב טעמים אחרים ליתרה. He also permits this but brings many other reasons why it's mutar. Good? Very good. Next, נתינת דבר מוצק לתוך דבר נוזלי. Putting something dry into a liquid. יש מי שכתב שמותר לתת דבר יבש חם על גבי דבר נוזלי קר. There are those who say it's mutar to put a dry food that's hot into a cold liquid. כגון חתיכת בשר רותחת בכלי ראשון לתוך רוטב קר. Like a piece of meat that's boiling hot into a cold sauce. Okay, join us. We're almost done. Join us. Okay, so there is man that says mutar to do that. Why? Let's see what he says here. Bet meir siman shin yurchet mishum deve iruy shnifsak hakiluach shel mashel. Very good. ותמר למגן שעשה בזה אחרי משם ברורה העתיק לדבר מגנו להלכה ובשאר ציון לצריחיון והיום בחוות דעת משפט אדם. Very good. So again, this ties back into the discussion of davar gush. Davar gush was a piece of meat, a piece of potato, something that retains its heat. We saw the Mishnah Berurah in the Magen Avraham where machmir, that davar gush is like a kli rishon. Okay?
Is that no matter how many heat sources?
Yeah, as long as it's still hot. Yeah, according to them, yeah.
Then how do they say that if they're gonna say like an insulated bottle is not?
Who says that's what they say? They might have the same opinion about insulated bottle. Yeah, we'll get there. That's gonna mean hatmana, but we'll get there.
Hot as it gets.
Yeah. A piece of potato, hot potato, is very hot. It retains its heat very well. A piece of meat is very hot. It retains its heat very well. So we're talking about these items. They're called davar gush. The Mishnah Berurah and based on the Magen Avraham, treats it as a kli rishon. Again, we saw earlier that Ravad Yosef is mekel. He views it as a kli
Even
sheni.
if it cooks like liquid power.
Yeah, he says it's kli sheni. Yeah, kli sheni.
Would you say the same thing for like, let's say like a burning hot coal?
No, that's different because of different because of other issues. You can't move it. It's mukseh. There's issues of
food.
Food. Burning out coal has other problems. If you move it, you're going to be mechabeh. It's like it might be other issues there, right? Of havara. That's a different problem completely. Okay, good question. So he says yesh mi shekotev because he's respecting the opinion of the Mishnah Berurah. But I think according to Rav Ovadia, it'll be mutar. Kishin il mevashel. Good. It's a good question. I have to look into it.
What's the actual, like, how do they see it as something different? What's the reason why it would be different? Just because it's so hot?
They say that it's still hot.
Or I mean, like, a real, like...
And we say that Rav Ovadia writes it doesn't matter. The Kli Rishon has the walls of the Kli Rishon that are heating it up. This doesn't have the walls. It's sitting on the table, sitting on the plate. It's slowly releasing heat. It's not retaining heat anymore.
With those that say that it is still a Kli Rishon, would they say something that, for the temporary time that something's very, very hot, you can't put it in something cold?
Yeah.
They would say anything.
Sure.
Like, and into your cup, that cup is like,
No, that's a liquid. That's not a davar gush. Davar gush is a solid. Correct. Only solid.
If that burn like a chicken, like a bone.
It's not about, that's not a matter of being burned. That's just being
It's
hot.
so hot, like something that's so hot.
Chicken isn't the best example because it doesn't retain its heat so well. In
that's
30
split
seconds,
second.
in 30 seconds it cools down. When a potato, you bring it out of the chulent, the potato is hot for 2-3 minutes. There's a good svara there. Just we have our mesorah.
If they're saying that's a Kli Rishon, then even after it cools down a little bit, is it still Kli Rishon?
No, good question. I don't know. I don't think so. Once it's cold, they can't
What's
cook
like
anymore.
what's like their limit? What's the threshold?
While it's hot. While it's yatsolerable, yeah. Go ahead and
But it's gonna be way hotter than Yatsuletifo.
No, it's not going to be out of the hotter.
You need a burning up potato.
It's going to start at hot, however hot the pot was. It's not going to be hotter than the pot.
We don't follow the shita anyway.
No, for Sfardim, for Sfardim.
I think there's so many like.
Yeah. For it's a very applicable for Ashkenazim. Davar gush is very applicable. They have to be mindful. They're chulent. They can't put spices on their potato out of the chulent. It's a Kli Rishon for them. It's mevashel. They can eat. No salt they could because it's kasher bishul.
I think we answered before, but are they allowed to get out of Sparty's house if they're doing all these things?
Yeah. Good question, but probably yeah.
Are there spots where Ashkenazim are more machmir?
What?
Are there spots where Ashkenazim are
More mekel? Yeah. With reheating liquids. As long as it's still hot, it's okay.
Oh, you also answered, I think before, the consistency of a liquid. Like something like cholent is not the same as like a soup.
What about in terms of?
Is it considered a liquid at that point?
We spoke about Rav Ovadia's famous tshuva. That needs to be majority. But it's a big mafaka of Ben Talmud and Rav Ovadia based on the Girsa in the Bet Yosef.
So different than like the core ability.
Yeah.
There's something that have like a really thick cholent versus like a watery cholent.
My nafkamina. What's the nafkamina?
Is the thick one considered liquid? It's only liquid.
Is it?
So what? What's the difference? It's still a Kli Rishon. What's the difference? Let's finish the last week. We'll be done for today. Iruy al gabet davar mutzak shenimuach miyad. Pouring onto something that will immediately dissolve. Okay? Im mutar la'arot al gabet davar yavesh mevushal shenimuach miyad. Kegon sukar, melach, kafe, ve'avak shoko. Nitpaer le'el besif lamed bet.
You said coffee.
Yeah, we said it. Let's look at lamed bet. Let's read it again inside. Yeah. We said it's mutar. Mutar la'arot ma'im chamim v'kli rishon al gabe melach or sukar. Ashkenazim was strict. The av shebimagah ma'im imam הם נמוכים מיד, בכל מקום, כיוון שנתבשלו כבר, בתחילה הראו הם יבשים, הם נידונים כדבר יבש, שאין בו בישול אחר בישול. והוא הדין לעניין קפה נמס, קקאו ואבק שוקו. Chocolate milk, instant coffee, or mutar for the same idea. Good?
But that's Bishul Achar Bishul.
Meaning he's equating it to be davar yavesh. It's a machloket. Some say it's a davar lach, as it becomes water right away. And then it'll be a problem with Bishul Achar Bishul, davar lach.
He's equating it to lach.
We're equating it to yavesh.
Hey, wait, how could you say it's liquid?
No, it's with Bishul Achar Bishul, davar yavesh.
Yeah.
That's why it's mutar.
But that's not what chapter is about.
He's talking about Iruy. We're talking about Iruy onto a powder. Is the powder considered a liquid or a solid? If it's a liquid, it might be a problem of Bishul.
Why would it be a liquid?
That's why he sends you back earlier. He says, Ayin la'el lamed bet.
So it's just important.
Yeah, exactly. Good? Hazak Baruch.